I'm Jason Takhtadjian with Armenian Sports News. Today we have a very special guest with us. He is Grigor Cholakyan. He recently signed his national letter of intent to represent Stanford in wrestling. Grigor, first and foremost, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I want to kind of dive right into it and kind of learn a little bit about you because, signing national letter of intent for a program like Stanford for their wrestling program is a big deal. But I want to kind of establish just kind of who you are. I want to learn a little bit about your upbringing, about, when did you get into the sport of wrestling and what other sports kind of influenced your path right now?
Yeah, so growing up, I started with gymnastics when I was really young. My sisters did gymnastics. I wasn't the best, but I feel like that's a good base to start. And about when I was 10 years old, my dad got me into wrestling. His best friend was my coach, Martin Berberian. He's a three-time Olympian, European champion, a world medalist. He's top notch. So at 10 years old, I started wrestling, and yeah, he trained me. We did a bunch of training sessions, and it got me to the wrestler I am today.
Got you. And that's it's a pretty early age, 10 years old. What do you remember what was it about wrestling that, drew you in?
I just liked how it's like one-on-one, at the end of the day, yeah, you got your coaches, but at the end of the day, it's you and your opponent standing in front of each other, and the guy that wants it more is gonna win.
Absolutely. And growing up and being introduced to wrestling at the age of 10, were there any athletes that you were maybe looking up to or, learning from that your coach maybe was teaching you about or you went about and learned, whether it was in wrestling or maybe anywhere else in other sports?
Yeah, I was looking up to, Arthur Alexanian, of course, they call him the White Bear in Armenia, Armenian Olympic champion, world champion, just seeing how he has all that success as an Armenian athlete, that inspired me to obviously get close to success. We're getting there slowly but surely.
There you go. And that's a good idol to look up to and learn from, especially in the world of wrestling. But now I want to get to the recent news, you signing your national letter of intent with Stanford, but you committed to Stanford last year in November already. What is it about Stanford? When did you have the idea of wanting to represent Stanford? Was this something recent? Was this something that has been a long time in the making, something you wanted to do for a while, go and represent Stanford in wrestling?
Yeah, so starting my high school career, I knew that I was gonna have to end up going somewhere. So by when the time came about the end of my sophomore year in June in the summer, I got all the calls. I was getting recruited by a handful of schools, and I feel like just Stanford stuck out because obviously their education, their wrestling program's real good, and just the location, it's real close. For me, it was either I was gonna move across the country or across the states. So I just stuck with across the state, and yeah.
There you go. And do you remember your first visit at Stanford, first visit, maybe visiting the coaches? What was that like?
Yeah, so my first call was like July 4th, and I was on a run, and then I got a text from the Stanford coach. Like he wants to get on a call with me, and that's when the recruitment started with them. And so I was really excited. I got a call from them, and then after one of my tournaments, we scheduled an official visit. They got me out there, and then I committed. I had another visit after that to UPenn. I took that visit, then the next day I committed to Stanford.
Nice. So you had your mind pretty much set at that point, huh?
Yeah,
And what
for
was that
sure.
like when
Yeah.
you got that call and you get the call saying that Stanford wants you, you're on your run and if you're on your run, you're not with the family, so you got to go to the family and relay the good news. What was that day like?
It was really exciting, just lots of hard work like prior to this, just to know that it all paid off. Obviously, getting that call is one step, still got lots of steps to go to reach my ultimate goals, but hey, it's real cool,
That
doesn't
is
just
really
happen
cool.
all the way.
Absolutely. Now, you could argue that that is your career highlight thus far, but you already have competed in multiple competitions all around the country at this point in your wrestling career. When you think back, what are maybe some highlights or some moments in your wrestling career that really stand out to you?
Yeah, This summer, I actually got second at the Fargo Nationals. That's like one of the biggest tournaments in America. So I'm real. There were like over 200 kids in my bracket, and I was like predicted to not place. So it's top eight All Americans. I was just round after round. I was taking out kids ranked higher than me, and I made the finals. I fell short, but could have won that. But
Wow. I
that's
mean,
probably my biggest accomplishment thus far. But yeah.
that's a big deal, right? You're talking about, wrestlers from all parts of the country, right?
Yeah. I've
Wow.
consistently placed at like all these national tournaments, state tournaments, and I've won national tournaments, got outstanding wrestler awards there. So that's always put me in the rankings high. I'm currently ranked number five, I think, at 152 pounds. So
Wow.
just
That's
keep
a big deal,
climbing.
especially for this country too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, moving forward, whenever we're talking about, the fact that you are just starting your senior year, you still got your senior year ahead of you before you go and represent Stanford in 2024. With all these achievements that you have made and all these tournaments around the country that you've gone to, what are you looking forward to for your senior year?
Yeah, I still have some unfinished business this year, this high school season. So I still have some tournaments to win. I want to win the Doc B tournament. That's a national tournament. I get a cowboy hat if I win. I want to win that. I want to win a California state title, get a banner at my high school. I fell short of that goal, but it's all part of the process. I'm just excited to run through this last senior year and hopefully, God willing, end up on top
There you
on
go.
everything. Undefeated, yeah.
Absolutely, man. And, being from Southern California, was that where you were born in Southern California?
Yeah, I was, yeah.
Got you. So you're native. You're in that
Yeah.
area. You're gonna try to stay there and play or wrestle rather near home. But we're talking about high school. We're talking about college next. But what about representing a national team, a national country? Have you thought about that yet? Is that something that's still too early, or is that something that's in the cards? Possibly representing either the U.S. or Armenia.
Yeah, it's a possibility to represent Armenia, but there's some steps that we have to go through before we can. So I just have to sit down with my family, my coaches, and we have to make those steps like become happen. So as of now, I've been representing the US if I ever get the chance to, but if I ever get the chance to represent Armenia, I'd love to, to represent my motherland. Why not?
Absolutely,
Just
man.
go
Absolutely. That's
yeah.
that's a similar feelings that, I have or a lot of people who I've talked to who are from the diaspora who still want to represent Armenia. And that's just, it's bigger than sports as well.
Mhm.
Absolutely, man. So one last question for you. You still got college coming up next year. It's still a while away. Do you know what major you might want to also pursue, or is your focus right now solely on wrestling?
Yeah, I'm not like 100% stuck onto a major, but I was talking to some wrestlers and some Armenians that had me up over there. They were talking about management, science, and engineering. That's like the closest to business undergrad, because I'd probably major in that, but I might want to become a lawyer. Still exploring the options.
He's a wrestler and he is smart as well. Yeah, thank you so much for joining me, man. Is there anything else you want to leave us off with? You know, just that national letter of intent day, what that was like, signing that national letter of intent and being around all your friends and your family. Just want to kind of wrap up what that all meant to you.
That was real exciting, just to when I was giving my speech, seeing my family, my grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, my aunt, my cousins, my teammates, my coaches, all of them. It was a priceless moment for me just to see their reactions and how happy they were for me. I'm grateful for every single one of them, and it was just a very, very big day for me and my family.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Grigor, for joining me. And I look forward to seeing what you're going to do your senior year and obviously what you're going to be doing for Stanford University.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, Jason. I appreciate it. Yes, sir.